This is a Willets Point Shea Stadium bound 7 express train. The next and last stop is Willets Point, Shea Stadium.
A very important discussion that needs to happen is, what do you do with Starling Marte? He's slated to be in right field, but honestly, I just don't know from a health perspective if you can count on him. We know the skills are there. We know him offensively. When healthy, he's a top hitter. But if he can't stay healthy and he can't stay on the field, is it time to bring in someone in reserve? You mentioned Jorge Soler, but you don't like the defense is not there. What about a guy like Teoscar Hernandez? He's a year younger at 31. Last season for him, 258, 26 home runs, 93 RBIs, 741 OPS. For Soler, 250, 36 homers, 75 RBIs, and 853 OPS. Should the Mets pursue one of these guys or just stick it out with Marte?
Absolutely. And I do know that the Mets, to a degree, like Tio, from what I've heard, and for good reason. And Teoscar, the reason why I could see it not happening is a simple fact that he's a big strikeout guy. While he's not going to be overly expensive, you have the risk of maybe having another Starling Marte contract of, say, 4 years, $80+ million. And what if he does start to fall off quite a cliff, because he's struggling, say, at Citi Field, and the defense is going to continue to go downward? That is what is likely with Tio at this point in his career. So I understand why the Mets would not make that happen, but why they would and probably should, and I actually plan on discussing him this week as well individually, is because you're buying low on Teoscar Hernandez right now. And he didn't look great in Seattle, but we know the power's there. And if you can get a little bit more consistency, he could be absolutely massive for this offense that desperately needs more, not only power, but a guy that can handle his own in the corner. Tio is at best an average to just a below average defender at this point in his career, but he can give you defense, unlike Jorge Soler on a day-to-day basis. Jorge, you have more risk involved with him in the corner than you do Tio. And Stearns I think is being pretty adamant about wanting to upgrade defense. So if we're picking the lesser of evils there, yes, you're losing out on power with Jorge, but Tio ain't no slouch. He could easily give you 30 bombs a year, right? So I think that there's a lot of potential there with Teoscar Hernandez should the Mets actually have interest in going on a multi-year deal for a corner outfield type. Whether they commit to that or not is yet to be seen. But given the holes this team has offensively and defensively, you can make an argument that he checks off certainly a number of boxes for them.
I know very well of Teoscar Hernandez's struggles, especially at the beginning of the season, since he was on my fantasy team this year when I drafted him, and he got off to a rough start, but he ended pretty well. I mean, 26 homers, 93 RBIs. That's I'd take that in a heartbeat from some of the offense that was produced on our roster.